Hey everyone, today I am going to be giving you some clinical pearls on the dip exercise. We will be getting into it in the near future, and we want to make sure that you understand proper mechanics and injury prevention. First, before we get into the movement, we're going to talk about movement requirements. We need a minimum of 30 degrees of pure glenohumeral or ball and socket shoulder extension. So what I mean by that is we do not want to allow the shoulder to hike as we extend the arm. If you're starting to hike, that means you're compensating and you no longer are moving purely in extension. So if you want to take a look at the mirror, angle 30 degrees back, make sure that shoulder is not hiking up. And if you want to be even more detailed, you can have somebody feel your shoulder blade. And for the first 15 degrees of extension, the shoulder blade should not be moving. After 15 degrees, it can do what's called antimotion, where it rocks forward a little bit. But again, we're still not allowing this to happen right here. We're going to talk about the modified dip first, mainly because the actual dip is a very difficult exercise and requires a lot of strength. When it comes to the modified dip, there's a lot of debate on hand positioning. I would say there's really no wrong answer. However, I think there's a better answer than the other. So people always argue, should my fingers be facing forward, to the side, or backward? If I had to pick one, I actually like fingers pointing forward, mainly because shoulder extension is always coupled with internal rotation. If you imagine a swimmer, when they do the freestyle stroke, when they extend their arm back, their thumb is always pointing down, moving into internal rotation. And it's mainly because the joint can move freely the most in this alignment. You'll never see that swimmer, as they extend their arm, open their arm up into external rotation, because they get stuck earlier and then they're going to hike and compensate. And you can even look in your mirror and do that with your 30-degree test with the range of motion. Go into external rotation and go back. I typically will hike a lot earlier, as when I internally rotate, thumbs behind me, and extend back. So that's the reason why when we do our modified dip, I like to cue fingers pointing forward. You can get into a nice deep range of motion without any compensation, looking like this. So when you're here, again, you can still do it correct, but you're most likely going to run out of that natural range of motion and start to mess up the ball and socket joint. Use these same cues towards the actual dip. We'll of course have some bands set up to the matadors to help assist yourself going up, but we're forced to use a neutral grip, which is fine. Make sure before you even start the dip, we are pulling ourselves up towards the ceiling, packing those shoulders down, and you're ready to go from here. Just bend at those elbows. Don't let your shoulders hike, and just go down to a range of motion that you're comfortable. You'll notice if you go too deep, it might be either too difficult or you start to feel that hike. And these are some nice clinical pearls to think about during the dip.